We are presenting the Maryland PPA webinar series. Tonight we bring in Phil Fabrizio. Tonight he will be talking about adding some Spark to your social media mix with Adobe Spark. So Phil, tell us about this Adobe product. Let's go.
All right. Thanks, Danny. Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody had a good evening. And we sit in here for a couple of minutes and we'll talk a little bit about Adobe Spark. I tripped up on Adobe Spark here in this past April. It's been around for about maybe 3 years. But what it meant for me was I was trying to utilize a project that I call the Match Lid project, and created some graphics with some text on it. And I was trying to find an easy way to do that because I wanted to share everything on Instagram. So what I tripped over in the last 3 months has been this Adobe Spark that basically there's what I would call a three-legged stool for social media. Adobe Spark is, for some, it can be free, and then there's also a monthly version where you pay $9.99 a month. But the Adobe Spark is 3 components. One is called Adobe Page, one's called Adobe Post, and one's called Adobe Video. Tonight, I'm only going to really be concentrating on Adobe Post, which I feel is more of the graphic-oriented end of the product line. And I'll show you a little bit about Adobe Spark, Adobe Page. I won't be covering video. I'm not much of a video guy, but it's really quick and easy to use. Keep in mind that although it can be for a desktop unit, it really is more set for the use on an iPhone or an iPad or any type of cell phone and other more portable units. So you can download it free from Adobe and you can work with it. So it's a graphic design tool. Post is a create web page, and the video is more of anything you capture on your iPhone video might work. Before I get and explain a little bit about the product, I'm going to take it back a little bit and why I use it. I wasn't just using it for this Match Lid project. I started when I tripped on it. I thought, is it quicker than for something for Photoshop, doing something graphically and getting it displayed graphically? I wanted the social media integration, and I'll tell you why in a moment. And then because I'm shifting more towards Instagram versus Facebook, I'm a big Twitter user, and I'll explain how that works. So I was looking for a separation and how I can differentiate myself from the rest of my competitors. And that's not necessarily folks here at the MDPPA, but what I do from a client basis. Basically, I'm a sports photographer. And clients that I have hire me to provide images from the sidelines. And I fight with constant uploading issues with those that are shooting on the sidelines. So mostly cover a lot of high school sports, but because I cover a lot of high school sports, one of the clients wants images from the game during the game. So I've become very adept at creating and locating images while I'm on the field through a Wi-Fi system that connects to my cameras, and upload an image first to Twitter, and then what my client will do is then from Twitter takes it and reposts it both on Facebook and on their Twitter feeds, so that I'm out and about. I time myself in to be able to produce that image within 90 to 120 seconds. Capture an image, it's usually a touchdown or a lacrosse goal, or maybe a key basket in basketball. And then I find that image, stop what I'm doing, take my eye off the field or off the court, and then locate that image and put it up. What Adobe Spark, in this case, Post would do, is give me the ability to build templates ahead of time so that I can feature individuals or set up the scores. When you're on the sidelines, and I don't know if anybody shoots the sidelines at all, you're always in constant competition with someone standing next to you, be it a Washington Post photographer. I shoot both college. I don't shoot any pro sports, but mostly college, mostly high school. And so you're always in a constant battle with them to find either position, and it's not a big deal, but someone's posting up to Facebook or Twitter the score right away. How I differentiate myself is that I grab the image of the score, I report who scored, and I show that critical moment. And I do that within about 2 minutes. If you think about it, it's a tough thing. Also think about it in the fact that it's not really a high quality image. Most of the time I'm shooting with Nikon 500, a D500 or D850, and I'm downsizing the image when in the capture so that I can upload an image real quick. In a key game, say a championship game, a high school championship game or something like that, the stands of 2,000, 3,000 people, kids are all commenting on using their phones for connecting with friends and such like that. So the bandwidth is real small. So I don't have a lot of time to find the right bandwidth. So there's some things I'm going to try to do in the future, if I have a future as far as high school sports are concerned in this coming year, to be able to do that. So what I'm looking to do is try to take that nature of the business and eventually move it to a Twitter feed and an Instagram feed. Right now, I got about 700, 750 followers on Twitter that will pick up my feed and then repost. And certainly my client will do that. But that's going to change. So the immediacy of trying to be able to do that and doing it quickly lends itself to working on an iPhone and an iPad and how that connects with the business. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip my screen over, and hopefully everybody will be able to see this. But I'm going to show up the Adobe Spark. Let me know if they can see this or not. Can everybody see it? Ah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is what Adobe's done is integrated a lot of their products so that it's up in the cloud and it's ready available. And if you feed your stuff into Adobe cloud services or Adobe CC, they've renamed them all over time, it works real quickly with being able to locate an image that you may have stored or you may have. These are templates, and the templates, they have certain featured templates, and they may be seasonable, and they'll be indicative of some sort of local topic. You can pick up one of their templates and use their templates and recraft that to fit your own need. So although I may live in the sports world, someone who might be taking photos of jewelry or photos of brides or photos or portraits can find an image that might be able to put something quickly up into the a posting that talks about an individual. So knowing that, what I'm going to try to do is just try to show you some of the templates that I've built and how I've built them. So the best part for me is that I've been doing what I call this match lid project. And the match lid project is a combination, and this is where I found everything. It's a combination of all these match lid covers that I've captured over the years. And it goes back about 40 years of where I've got them. And I write now I post it up on Instagram and write about my time there at the restaurant. I may remember it, or I'll talk about its current processes, whether or not it's open because of COVID or closed, or if there's a carryout. In this case, this Papacitos is out in Houston, Texas, and you can all talk about all the differences with Houston, Texas. But the image I can brand using my own watermark, but at the same time I can also make it both a still image or a text image or a different type of image. So for instance, if I wanted to change the text on something, I say Papacitos, and I'm just going to spell something real quick. and I'm just going to put it down there and I'll do it done. The Papacitos function comes up there real quick, and I can put it up there and I can change the template. So the template in this is Adobe Post gives me the ability to change the fonts to the types of fonts that you have. The free version only gives you versions of Adobe Spark fonts. But since I bought the monthly version for the time being, I can bring in the fonts that I might have loaded and bought from Adobe and bring them in, and I can change the fonts of that particular product on it and have it. I can change the colors, I can change the shape, I can change the effect of any of those types of images right up and real quick. So for me on the Matchledge project, because I've been taking all these covers, shot them all over a course of about a week's time. Everyone looks the same, but I adjust it for the Instagram function. So let's try to take an example where Adobe Page, and that's what I'm in, I'm sorry, Adobe Post, which I'm in right now, works and how it works. So everything that's driven by Adobe is driven by the plus sign. So I'm going to create a template. You see I've got a lot of templates in the background. I'm going to create a template. I'm going to make it solid red, and it's going to ask me next what I want to do. And the key part of what Adobe does under Adobe Post is it has all these different versions that are already set up in a fashion that fits whatever you're going to post on social media. So if you're taking pictures of watches or jewelry and you want to put it on Pinterest, then you can do it that way. If you want to put it in Facebook, it'll give you the Facebook size. If you want to do a YouTube video, it'll give you the YouTube video size, or a LinkedIn size, or an Instagram interactive, or it has particular sizes in print sizes. So you can make posters or postcards or save the date cards. You can make any of those with those functions and do that in very a quick fashion. I use just a square function for Instagram. So once I pick that, I'm going to skip the edit right now, and I'm going to go out and bring in an image. So it goes over here and it looks under all the things where it goes to my camera. It'll pull up a camera image, pull a file off my iCloud files, may pull something out of Adobe Stock, but I'm going to pull off my Lightroom. And so what it does is it gets me the opportunity to pull all these images straight from Lightroom and see how they interact in that fashion. So let's just say I want to take an image out of Lightroom that might have to do with, I'm going to go through the things. I had this set up. I don't see the file in front of me. I'm going to find a file here. Hold on. These are camera files. Let's use this one. So it's going to ask me where I want that. And I'm going to say over here, the double tap. I'm going to delete that right now. Edit, delete, double tap. And on this image right here, I may want to take a picture of that. Well, it has functions when I want to remove the background. So here I have an image that I said, what do I want to do? It takes away the image on the background right away. It finds it similar to what you would have done in Photoshop, but it does it quickly. And so adjusting this just with my fingertips, I can make that adjustment real quick and change the colors, crop, whatever I want to do. I like that. And then I can sit there and say, I want to add some text. So what I'm going to say is, this is a Moscow Mule. All right, so I say, boom, going to type that down here. I'm going to say Moscow Mule. Where do I want to put that? I change the shape. I put it up on the top. I look for a font. Hold on a second. I look for the font that I want. Since I don't necessarily like that font, I'm going to change it to a kind of a different fonts that kind of highlights what I want. And I says, I don't like the color of that. It's going to suggest a color for me. I can take that color, I can change it to any of the color bars along the bottom to change that to however I'd like to make it. Let's take a look at that one. I'll say done. Let's go back and edit that one more time. And I'm going to take the shape. It puts a shape in there for you, but I like to use the basic, which just does away with that. But I don't like the color now, so I can say for the color, I'm going to change that to white. So Moscow Mule. And then underneath that, I says, I still want to add more text. So then I'll say add more text, and I'll say, all right, Bar Louie. I'm just making this up as I go along, but Bar Louie might be is where I bought that. And it's going to copy the same text that I had here, but I can change that effect, or I can give it a different effect depending on how I'd like to do that. And also, I can pick up an icon, and I might say cocktails. All right, and so it provides me with a series of icons, all free from with your service of Adobe, to sit there and say, I can change that Adobe, and I can change that cocktail. And so now I'm going to put this into a template on the page. So now what I can sit there and say, okay, this is great. I like the look of it. I'm going to adjust it slightly. I can nudge it a certain way. I can bring it down. I can adjust all that. But I'm doing this really quickly to show you that I can change how I want to have that happen in a fashion that's real quick and easy if I'm working on the sideline. So now I got that down there, but you know something I want to add some visual animation to that whole process. So what I can do is I can test out an animation process that says, hey, let me go there and adjust everything under. There's certain things that it might change. It might not change the Moscow Mule, but as you go along, you can change that to a setting of what you might leave. That's a color shuffle that I picked. So I like that. So what do I do with it? Now that I have this and I want to post it to Instagram or whatever, I go up to the top bar and it says video animation or still image. I can create a still image of that. And it says, I want the solid colors for the background. And I'm going to save that image. And it's going to say, I saved it to my camera roll. So on my iPhone or iPad, I now have that image. I can also say I want a video animation of that. And I'll take that video animation, and it's going to create it right for me. And I look at that, and I say, all right, I like what it looks like. I can also possibly change that, but I'm ready to do that. Now, where do I want to put that? I want to put that on Instagram. It sends it right over to Instagram. It's going to come up on something called the Math Village Project. Oops, hold on. And it's going to say, whoa, what we got here?
Now that was an Instagram page you should be following. That Danny Douglas is pretty good. Look at those barns.
Yeah. You like that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I got to go back to the page. Okay, hold on a second. Let's go. Video animation. I got to create it again. I don't know why I didn't pick up on my Instagram. Of course, it would always change that. But let's try it one more time. If I don't get it to work, but I promise you it does work. Instagram. All right. So it's going to post it to my Instagram. So I said, I'm going to take it over to my feed, and then I can add that and do whatever I want to do next. I'm not going to add that up there right now. So I'm going to let this one go because there's something else I want to do to that. I said, I don't like that layout. It all looks like red, but I'm going to change that layout. So I can, if I want to, I'm going to create a border. And I make a border. I can create the border. I can change the color of the border to black or gray or whatever I'd like and create that. Or I can add it to a particular design. So it has all these templates in which you can do quickly and easily, or if you've got the time to play with it later on. So I can change that the template and change it however I go. So it's quick and easy, and the idea is to set the templates up really quick. For instance, University of Maryland was chasing after Caleb Williams here, and I caught an image of him during the early part of the season. And so he was playing for Gonzaga, and I caught him, and it took the image right off the field. And then I created this, and I put this in here. Was ready to have it uploaded to Instagram and Twitter. Had he signed with the University of Maryland, instead he signed with the Oklahoma University. No, anyway, so the idea for me in my work process was create as many templates as you can, have them ready to go, and then I can use them and pull them in on the field when I want to do that, or take an image that I've captured during the field and use it in however function that I want to use. So a lot of the things that I captured over time, this was a graduation parade, and all those images are just cut really quick from the things that I have. So if I want to replace that image, I say, okay, I want to replace that image, and I didn't like that image. I could go over here and say, once I've got my template set and I'm looking for the high school grads, I'm saying, let me take a look at some high school grads here. Which image do I want? I like this one better. So what it's going to do, it's going to put that one in there. I'm going to say, remove that image, and then just give me the background. It was so quick. It is so quick that what I just did in a matter of 5 seconds would take me, maybe, and I'm not a Photoshop guy, it'd take me forever in Photoshop to do that. Now, the other guys might be able to, hey, I'll grab that, but you've got to go through 2 or 3 processes to get that. Oh no, in my case, I'm taking it right out of the film of the camera, I'm putting it on on a Wi-Fi or in the camera mode, or on Lightroom in this case where I had it loaded, and I'm bringing that image right up, and I got the template placed, and boom, I put that image right there. So then it's quick and easy to put it up on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or wherever you want, because you can change those templates. So before I leave this one, do we have any questions on post? And post before I go over to my Adobe page.
I have a question for you, Phil. If you are doing sideline photography, when do you do this portion of it? Because there's no way you're photographing a football game and doing this while you're shooting.
Believe it or not,
Or are you?
I am, but I'm not. What the new process for this year is to do it with Adobe Spark Post. So I would create. Let's look at the Moscow Mule, the Bar Louie one, and I might have a color for a team. The 2 opposing teams. One might be a gold, one might be red, and so depending on the image that I capture, I might be able to pull that down off the camera, upload it to my camera roll, and then pull the image off the camera roll into my post. I think it's going to take me 4 or 5 minutes to do it rather than the 2 minutes, which I do right now. But I'm actually pulling the image. The current process is just to pull the image and send it up the way it is with all the messy background behind it. And it may be out of focus, but recognize that when I shoot, I obviously try to pull the best image, but it's dark on the field, and you're kind of pulling out the image that looks like it's the best one where he scored or caught a pass. And I grab that and throw that right up on Twitter. Now, what I'm going to try to do is put the scores up there, like change the scoreboard. I might say that I might have a scoreboard up there. I might say Moscow Mule. Let's just use this one real quick, and let's just say here, and I'll just change this real quick. I'll say scoreboard. And I might say scoreboard. And what I might do is actually put the scores in one corner, and another corner, the other, so the opposing scores, and I'll put it up there, and I'll put the scores as they go along. It's quick, but if I have the template made, then it makes it simpler. It differentiates me from someone who just reported the score, because not only do I have the score, but I have the individual that scored. So right now, all it is a Twitter image that goes up there, and I release real quick, coming out of the camera roll that's been downloaded from the camera to the camera roll, and then back and uploaded on the local Wi-Fi that's on the field, or that I might have. So it's difficult, but that's the new twist, where I think it might make a play for me to make me different than someone else who's tweeting from the field. Or in this case, I'm going to switch it now more to Instagram and try to build up the Instagram followers. That's my thought, Danny.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions?
There's nothing in the chat room, so why don't you keep on moving?
All right. So now let's go on to, let's get over to Adobe. I'm going to find it to Adobe page. And again, the same idea is that I've got 3 or 4 different little pages here that I've created. And, you know, this is a little fun in the summertime. It's something I like what they do. This Adobe page is basically, you can create a blog page or a photo blog very quickly from images that you can either download out of your camera roll or your Lightroom area, or you can do it from just from your desktop, because Page will work better on the desktop than it necessarily does on the iPhone or iPad. So I created this photo blog on something that I was doing for the Matchlit project. On the Matchlit project, I'm concentrating on bars and restaurants. I'm just trying to say how impacted they are. And so the Texas Medical Association put out this colored bar chart that gives the risk factors for people going out and about in a social world, and a low and medium risk. So I created this what they call a glide page that shows a variety of different risks, and I can talk about it. And I dropped some of my edges that I hid in there. So, for instance, the moderate to low ridge might be playing golf, and so that comes in there. And you read the banners, and you start saying, well, gee, I like this banner. Let me change this around, or I can add other banners in there. So the risks here, you know, kind of image is fit the risks that I talk about. And it kind of fits in with building this. This takes a little bit of time. This is not something I'm going to do on the sideline. It's more something you got to think about, and how you take your images and put it in a social world. And it's not necessarily meant for Instagram as much as it might be for your blog or another function that you might give over to a customer. So it kind of talks about different things, and all these images are just images that I grabbed off my Lightroom side that talks about that I felt that it kind of fit the idea of the COVID, and worked with things that basically talked about this whole process. So here it is, the chart, and then at that time, I put the branding page on there. So what did I do with this? So before I go there and show you how I build a page, let me just show you where I put it in the process of the whole blog process that I've been talking about, the Matchlit project. So I'm going to go up here to the, and you can find me. It's not my website. I'm under Photoloaf, but the Matchlit project is something I created by itself, and sometimes it shows well on the iPad, sometimes it doesn't show so well on the iPad, and I'm having that problem right now. But when we're going to get down to the blogs, is that this be informed, know your risk is where I posted this up earlier today. So hopefully, if this is going to continue the reading, you're going to see my page creation out of Adobe Spark using the page, and here I embedded it in a blog. So once I tap on that, it's going to give me that same glide show that I just went through, and I can change that, and it will change it right on the web page. Now, how that happens is that, and it doesn't work as well on an iPad or an iPhone, but it really works well on your desktop, where you can take the embedded code and embed that whole code right directly into your blog page, as I did with this one. The function under the iPad doesn't work as neatly as it does with a as it does on your desktop. More fun. So let's just take. I'm just going to do something real quick. I'm creating a page real quick. And then I'm going to say, okay, fine, great. And I want to find an image. So same thing happens with the images that I did in Adobe Spark post. I can have an image put in here and say, this looks good, let me how to do this. I'm going to put in here, I'm going to add a caption, sunset through a solo cup. All right, and boom, I can get there, more fun. And so I'm creating this glide show as I go along. So then another glide show says, I want to add something else in there. Let's put this glide show in there, and I'm going to add this to the process. I'm going to say done, and it's going to add there now. So if I want to say something about this, I can enter the text and say, Gucci shirts converted to Fauci shirts. All right, don't ask me where I found those guys. I can tell you where I did, but anyway. So you can change that. Wherever you see a plus sign, you can add an image or another image to that process, and it kind of puts that back in there. And here's my buddy that did the image that I took and created for Cal Williams at Sineville, Oklahoma. And I can put that in there. So this becomes a quick glide show. You can do it fast and easy and create that glide show. Now, let's say if I'm done with this glide show, it will actually kind of say, am I done with this? And I'm going to give you the author attribution. It's going to be hidden. It's called More Fun. The category is Other. But the share function is either in a Facebook page, an email, a comment, which I would take as a message board, or you can copy that to your clipboard. So what it's going to do is going to create a public link. And to create the public link is going to create that public link, and then it's going to send it to my clipboard. And then you can see what that public link looks like real quick under Adobe Spark, and it gives you a feel for what I just created. You can brand this stuff. You can do it however you want to do that, but it's a real easy function to create a post page to fit into your web page, and then connect it to Instagram or Facebook, or in some cases Twitter. It works a little bit better on the desktop than it does on the iPad, but to me, that's the beauty of the Adobe Page, is that it's quick and easy to create a spread page for photos that can be shared quickly and easily. All righty, so I've been rambling on for about 30 minutes. Do
You're doing good, Phil.
we have any questions or anything on?
I don't see anything in
All
the
right.
chat room, but I have a question about this thing you just showed us, this page. Is this more a stationary page, or you said you're sharing photographs? Are you sharing them to people who want them, or are you just sharing them?
In my case, I am, since again, think about it, I'm a photographer, so I mean a sports photographer. I'm sharing them mostly to an Instagram page to a bunch of followers, and hopefully I try to gather followers on that. So that's what I did with Twitter. I built the Twitter up from literally maybe 20 followers to about 700 followers over the course of about 3 or 4 years. But they were picking up the images that I had about games. So I would do the same thing, but in this case, I'm trying to build my brand on the Instagram side,
Okay.
whereas I'm following on the Twitter side.
So there's a question in the chat room for you, Phil. Have you looked at a program called Canva? Canva.com.
No, I didn't. And so I saw that question come up. Can someone explain to me what that is, or is it similar?
It looks very similar to what you just showed us. Canva.com is a graphic design website. It's a monthly subscription fee. They have a free version, but there's also a monthly subscription fee that allows you to do quick graphics. The graphic that I created for your Zoom for this meeting was done on Canva. So it's very quick, very simple, an easy way to share. So it looks very similar, and it's got some similar attributes.
Yeah, I think what Adobe to me has always been late to the game, and for a lot of their products. But other than what they did with Photoshop, but to me they'd always been kind of late to the game. So they picked up when someone else is done. And I don't know much about Canva,
Okay.
but I was an old Aperture guy with them on the Mac side, and what Adobe finally did with Lightroom and all the things they said to integrate there, things were happening on Aperture long before it got integrated with Lightroom. So yeah, I'll have to look at that. I have not looked at that. That's good. Thanks for the.
All right. There are no other questions in the chat room, so if you have other things to show us, let's go.
All right. Well, that's about all I got for the evening. The Glide Show, I like in the sense that I can put that stuff on there. How could you use it in your audience? I mean, if you're not using like Canva or Adobe Spark, something to consider in the sense that it's a quick and easy function. For me, I think it's in fact that it links back to the Lightroom functions as well as to your camera, your iPhone camera or your iPad camera. You can pull up those images real quick and create something that has some interest, and it helps you differentiate yourself from those people who might be standing next to you on the sidelines.
So, Phil, this is part of your Creative Cloud subscription, or did you say that there was another level of payment to be made for the Adobe Spark?
Yeah, what Spark has is it's free. You'll get all 3 functions, the page function, the post, but what it does allow under the page function is, and may have to take a look at that if I can pull it up on the website. It gives you the ability to access your own fonts that you might have had and created and put them on Adobe Creative Cloud, and you can create a branding process for your images. So in other words, if I wanted to brand this as the Match Lid project, I could do that and create a brand that would always show up. You can't brand your images underneath the free version. So that's basically the difference.
So I'm going to stop your sharing screen if you don't mind. If you're done sharing, I'm going to stop that. Are there any last questions for Phil before we send him off for a good night? Everybody's saying thank you in the chat room there, Phil. So I think that we are wrapping it up.
Okay, very good.
Paul Peterman, do you have a question? You raised your hand. Hold on, Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
All right, Paul.
Can I have a pass? No. I think that was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I don't use it. I would say, is there an application to this, let's say, for wedding photographers? Can you think of that?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, if you want to, it's easy. I mean, if you can cut out images. I mean, I had a couple of other images of portraits that I could have put in there. It's something that if you wanted to create a leave behind or a quick image for, let's say you want to create a save the date card, something like that. I think it has a quick, really quick application for that. You don't have to spend a lot of time in Photoshop to create. You could probably send it off to a printer.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, even with Bruce Press. Hi, Bruce. With his taking videos of kids dancing or whatever, sometimes relatives can't make it to the show. And if you had a large enough audience, maybe even a paid subscription to the audience, you could send them off intermittent, pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest on the video side, so I didn't concentrate on that tonight, as I haven't played a lot with it. But that's probably a very good function for something that you can capture either on your iPhone or through the camera and load that up through an Adobe product and put it right over there on the video. It was quick. It is quick. So Sally says, I've used Spark for weddings and engagement. How long, Sally, had you been using that?
I'm sorry.
You're unmuted, Sally. Go ahead. Now you just muted yourself. Sally, hold on.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I've used Spark because I just have a $9.99 a month Adobe, as many of us do, and I was messing around and I'm like, oh, this is free, let me check it out. And I grew up on Lightroom, not on Photoshop. So for me, the templates and the layers and all of that is cumbersome. So it was very easy to use Spark. I've used it and Facebook banners, Facebook posts, Instagram, it's been wonderful. Somebody mentioned Canva to me, and so I did check that out, and I think for less than $100 a year, you can get the whole thing, and it was, very cool. But, Phil, you've certainly opened my eyes to some things with Spark tonight, so I'm going to check it out a little bit more. Thank you so much. But I do mainly weddings, families, kids, engagements. I do a lot of people type photography.
So Sally, how long had you been using it?
Oh, I don't know. Probably about a year.
A year?
Yeah. But it was the free version. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the application, I try to do too much on the sideline. Going back to Danny's question earlier was, can you get this all done in 30 seconds? Probably not. But what happens is, I miss a lot of kickback returns, kickoff returns, because they'll run the ball back and the other way, and I'm standing over on the sideline fiddling with my camera. But it's something that you can pull out. And for me, from a social media standpoint, either on a Twitter Twitter format, or in this case, what I'm going to try to get to is an Instagram format that I can put up there real quick. It starts to make a differentiation that someone says, "Oh, he's done something different," and then that's how you find. That's how you get the followers, because he's doing something, just not reporting.
And I have to tell you, I've done a little more with the whole COVID-19. I've been contacted and have done a couple of high school drive-by graduation type events and that type of things. And wow, you know, for quick, you know, volume, quantity, let's get this done kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It adds a little oomph.
Does.
Definitely.
Yeah, I did that for a local high school. I did a lot of it on the Spark and on the Post, Spark Post. The next one I'll experiment, going back to Paul and maybe what Bruce does, is I'm going to try the video because I'm trying to lend myself more towards the video side. But one thing at a time. And this was just a nice.
Right.